Hello, everyone. Thank you for attending today's webinar, Update to ISO Standards, ISO 9000, 9001, 14001, and 45001. Your presenters today are Dan Reed and Bill Kovacic, with Chad Keimel moderating. Chad Keimel is the CTO and founder of Omnex, an international consulting, training, and software organization headquartered in the United States. Chad is also on the ISO TC 176 and 207 and the PC 283 committees for the ISO 9001, 14001, and 45001 standards. Chad has published numerous papers and 6 books about management standards, including 3 books on quality standards and 2 on the auditing process. Without further ado, I'll turn things over to Chad, who will be introducing today's other presenters. Take it away, Chad. Chad, you can go ahead and start presenting.
Thank you, Andrew. Welcome, everyone. This is an important webinar, and I see a number of you have, joined in today. What we'll be doing is many of these standards are in a CD version, change draft. So actually, we cannot share very much when it's a CD by the ISO rules, and we'll adhere to those ISO rules. And we'll do updates as they change. And of course, very importantly in this webinar, we'll tell you where things are at and give you the timelines and suggest to you what you need to do to prepare. Let me go through the introductions here. So many of you know, over half of you always we find know who we are. The other half are new to Omnex. For you to know, Omnex and Omnex Systems were headquartered in Ann Arbor, Michigan. We have offices worldwide, and wherever there's automotive or aerospace or medical devices, we're there. What we're very proud of is being very involved with all the different standards and excellence awards here worldwide. We have 700 employees working in over 30 countries. This is one of my favorite slides. It just tells you a little bit about all the hard work we do to keep you informed of the changes happening. And you can see here, Mr. Dan Reed, who's going to be one of our speakers. You can think of as one of the original writers of IATF 16949. He led the automotive task force. And, when IATF 16949 first came out, SQS 9000. I better not introduce him too early, though. I'll get another chance. One of our featured speakers, which we didn't even announce, is actually John Scheidler. John Scheidler runs our registrar. Omnex always had a registrar. Hi, there's John. And I've invited him to be one of our featured speakers today. But for those of you who are part of medical devices, aerospace, just need to know we're in all those different committees, keeping track of what's important to our customers. Look at our worldwide offices. We became as global as we are, supporting Ford Motor Company in its emerging market strategy and the semiconductor industry. Andrew's already introduced me, but I'd like to, proud to be a third-party auditor and very active in continuing to do audits, except these days, I spend my time in software and things like functional safety and so on. In aerospace, I'm active in AS 9115 and 9125. I'm helping those standards be written. Folks, one of our main speakers today is Bill Kovacic. You can see Bill spent a number of years in Caterpillar. Very accomplished in terms of standards and being involved with standards. implementing them, auditing them. You can see how highly ISO thinks of him with all the excellence awards he has won. We have Mr. Dan Reed. He is, as I mentioned to you, a little bit about his background already in terms of, IATF 16949 and being the lead for the Automotive Task Force in 1995. You can see amount of his accomplishments and the awards he has achieved. Both Bill and Dan are our primary members in the different ISO committees. I have become a secondary member, meaning I'm a second, and with them being primary. We also have John Scheidler, who's with Omnex Future Past. Whereas our registrar, the previous registrar we had, focused on management systems, our registrar today focuses on greenhouse gas and also functional safety, cybersecurity, SOTIF. So very happy to have somebody very accomplished who helped write many of the standards on climate change and greenhouse gases. All right. So with that, Bill is going to be presenting to you the background to these changes and also about ISO 9000 and 9001 revisions. He will also tell you about ISO 45001, and then followed by that, we'll have Dan speak to you about 14001 and ISO 19011. If you're not familiar with 19011, 19011 are the requirements for how audits are conducted. It is what we teach you in our internal auditor and lead auditor courses. With that, Bill, would you like to take over? Folks, I'll come back to you at the very end.
Sure. Let me go ahead and share my screen.
Let me stop sharing.
Okay, now just a second. Okay. Okay, can I get a video and audio check? Can you hear me and see my screen?
We can see you, but we cannot see your screen yet, Bill.
Okay, let me see what's going on here.
There you go.
Okay, sorry about that. Okay, welcome everyone. Thank you for joining us today. So as Chad mentioned, I'm going to give you a little bit of background on the change process as well as the reason for the change to these ISO standards. So over 10 years ago, when we were going through the 2015, creating the 2015 version of ISO 9001 and these other standards, other management system standards, ISO added a requirement that all new or revised management system standards use what at that time was called the high-level structure. We now refer to that as the harmonized structure, or the HS. That would incorporate several common definitions. And the purpose for that was to facilitate easier integration of several management system standards any particular organization might be certified to. These updated standards were released in 2015, and at that time, ISO did grant some deviations from that harmonized structure as we were trying to get all these standards to use common language. Management system standards now under revision, though, where ISO is becoming more strict about some of these deviations from that harmonized structure. Those deviations are going to require reapproval by ballot of the technical committee. For 9001, that's Technical Committee 176. For 45001, Technical Committee 283, so on and so forth. Okay. Uh, Currently, we don't have any deviations that have been approved, but these working groups that are revising these standards are keeping that in mind. If you are currently certified through an Omnex course for any of these standards, to audit to any of these standards, you will, just like we did when we transitioned to 2015 from 2008, you'll need to go through a transition course to understand what new requirements might be added. And that Omnex offers those training classes, and you can take them either as through internal or lead auditor courses. Okay, so that is the background or the justification for some of these newer standards. Now, the revision process itself. Every 5 years, a management system standard will undergo what's called a systematic review. And that is when the member bodies, the participating member bodies, such as ANSI in the United States, they vote whether to either confirm the standard, which means that we will leave it unchanged, withdraw the standard, which means we will obsolete it, or to revise the standard. Now, when we went through this systematic review in 2020, the member bodies voted the majority to confirm. In other words, do not revise the standard. ISO then shortened that review to 3 years, and in 2023 put out another systematic review, and at that time the member bodies decided to revise the standard. So that is what has kicked the revision process off, at least for 9001 and for some of these other management system standards that occurred at roughly the same intervals. Once the decision is made to revise a standard, a working group is created, and ISO creates these working groups. The invitation is open to any participating member body, and from that working group, then that group develops a work item proposal and a design spec in order to guide the revision process, to make sure that we operate under the constraints provided to us by the design spec. Using that design spec, the working group then develops a working draft. Okay, that working draft stays within the working group. It is not shared outside of the working group, not even to the member bodies. The first time that a member body will see a document is when it has advanced to committee draft stage, or what we call CD. That CD is then circulated among the member bodies for comment. When the comments come back from the member bodies, that working group will disposition those comments, accepting those that improve the CD. From that, the next stage is a draft international standard, or DIS. The DIS is the first time then that people beyond the member bodies, the participating member bodies, will see the standard. Okay. Comments, so they are open to the public if you wish to pursue that and to make comments, but comments must be submitted through a member body or through a liaison organization that has a vested interest in knowing what that particular management system standard is doing. In the US, ANSI issues something called a public call for comment via standards action, and that is where you as individuals can obtain the DIS for review. Meanwhile, the member bodies are also reviewing that DIS. Okay. If they're from the DIS, the comments are submitted, a ballot is taken whether to advance that document or not, and if the vote is for approval, the working group will disposition the comments received in the DIS phase, and if there are technical changes to the DIS, in other words, something substantive more than just editorial comments, then we advance to what's called a final DIS, or an FDIS stage. Okay, that is, and by the time we get to an FDIS stage, the standard is very, very close to what will be published. The FDIS is distributed to the member bodies. It is voted upon on an up or down vote. The only types of comments that will be entertained at that point will be editorial comments. So at the FDIS stage, all the technical issues are worked out. And then once the FDIS is approved, the standard is published as an IS, or international standard. So that is the revision process. The revision process will take anywhere from 2 to 3 years, depending on the track for that management system standard. Okay. Any questions at this point?
If you have questions, you can see the Q&A. Please put your questions in there, and we'll take it in the very end. Continue, Bill.
Thank you. Okay, so now I will talk about ISO 9000 and 9001 revisions. 9000 and 9001 are companion documents. 9000 talks about the fundamental concepts and defines some terms for vocabulary. 9001 is the standard. So at this point, Chad, I think we want to conduct a poll. Is that correct?
That's right. Mike? Mike Miller and Andre. Bill, why don't you go ahead and continue?
Okay. All righty. So with ISO 9000, again, this is the companion standard to 9001. It is fundamentals and vocabulary. Currently, this document is further along than most other management system standards. We are at the DIS stage. That DIS stage closed for commenting and balloting just 2 days ago on June 18th. The way 9000 is looking in its development stages, there will be no changes to the fundamental concepts, but we're expanding on the discussion to include additional concepts relevant to quality management. And on the next slide, I'll show you what those different concepts are. The timeline for this document is, as I mentioned, the DIS ballot just closed. In September of 2025, we anticipate having the FDIS ballot. Okay, and then there will be a commenting period there as well. And then in March, we will publish the international standard. That is the timeline. Now, to show you what is changing here is you can see under section 2.3, we are introducing some new concepts here: quality assurance, quality control. We're just expanding on these concepts from the previous standard. And then here under 2.4, additional concepts related to quality management. We previously, in the current edition, we already talk about context of the organization and interested parties, but we are expanding that on emerging trends in quality. And you can see them listed here. Integrated management systems, that will become more and more prevalent, again, as the harmonized structure standardizes a lot of these standards. The circular economy and sustainability, emerging technologies, innovation, and on as you can see, we go down the list here, including business continuity. So 9001 is becoming more and more of a business management system instead of just a quality management system. And so that's why you see a lot of these emerging trends being discussed in 9000, the companion document. For 9001, we are not as far along in that revision. So a lot of what we'll be talking about is still under discussion. The standard development track was a 24-month period, but that has now been expanded to 36 months due to some false starts that the working group underwent. Some of the challenges and considerations that the working group is dealing with is, again, improving the alignment with the harmonized structure. And each of the working groups working on all the standards are going to be dealing with this. How do we best incorporate quality-specific requirements into that harmonized structure, and how do we phrase it so it is a readable document? Where possible, ISO 9001 is avoiding new requirements unless the benefit of that new requirement outweighs the effort to implement it. Okay, so we don't want to just be throwing out new requirements for requirements' sake, only include new requirements if the benefit outweighs. And because we have not seen the CD on that yet, that should be coming out soon. It's hard to exactly speculate what's going on there. Also, the working group is being very cognizant of the feedback from the 2015 standard that we have received, not only from users, but also from auditors or other stakeholders on what is unclear and what needs further clarification, either through adjusting the text or including notes. Okay. There is a committee that, an interpretations committee that looks at questions submitted by organizations on, hey, this is not clear. Can you explain this further? That kind of information is being incorporated into this update. By the time the DIS is released, this working group will have dispositioned over 4,000 comments in over 200 hours of meetings. Right now, it is at committee draft 2 stage. Okay, so the information is really not, the document is not mature enough yet to share with the public. They are actually going through a second committee draft on this one. What I can tell you, though, is that we are not expecting any major changes to the standard. The current clause structure will be retained. That, you might remember, that was the biggest update between 2008 and 2015, where the biggest notable difference between them is the clause structure change. That is being retained as part of the harmonized structure, but we can expect some enhancements to clauses. For example, as I just talked about with revisions, many notes will be included and either updated or new notes added to enhance the clarity. But as a reminder, notes are not requirements themselves. Notes are not auditable. They only serve to enhance clarity of the text. Clause 3 will include some ISO or 9000 definitions to align with the harmonized structure. So whereas before Clause 3 used to say, see ISO 9000, there now will be some definitions included in there. Clause 6 will separate risk-based thinking and opportunity-based thinking to more clearly show the differences between the two. And Clause 10 is going to combine the current Clause 10.1 and 10.3 to eliminate redundancies between the two of them. Okay. The annex will include more detailed clarifications for requirements in clauses 4 through 10. And Annex B is being removed and the bibliography being updated. Okay. At this point, that's about as much as we can share from what we're seeing in the CD phase.
Hey, Bill, I think,
Yes.
okay, I was going to wait till 9001 is completed, but let's just go ahead and run the poll since I already interrupted you. Sorry about
sure.
that.
Go ahead.
Folks, go ahead and take the poll and give us an idea. We're just going to keep it up for about 30 seconds so you can be active. 30 seconds, Bill, when we're presenting seems like years.
It does, doesn't it?
Yes. Folks, I see a lot of questions already. Please continue. If you have any questions, please do add them to the list. And then as best as time allows, we'll stay 10, 15 minutes, later if need be to answer questions we haven't gotten to. All right, Mike, go ahead and take the poll down. Okay, I'll just sort of say, so it looks like your company's of course, 78% of you are certified to QMS. So I think we made a typo on the OHS, but less for 13 and 7. Are you able to see the poll, Bill?
Yes, I can.
Okay. So you can see, personally, the biggest group is interested in 9001, about half in 14,001, and almost 40% in 45,001. Okay. Thank you all very much. And let's continue, Bill.
Okay. Okay, the timeline for 9001. The DIS is planned for worldwide release in September 2025. Again, this will be the first time the public will really have a chance to see it. That comes with a 2-month balloting and comment period. We in the US have an advantage because the documents are written in English, and when that document is ready, ISO plans a 2-month translation period, okay, for the non-English languages. But since it's already in English, we might see the DIS as early as July, because we don't have to wait that 2 months for the translation. So we could see it earlier. After balloting on the DIS, the working group will then disposition those comments. Assuming there will be an FDIS, that balloting is planned for April to June of 2026. And again, that is an up or down vote. So after that ballot closes, the standard is published shortly thereafter. We're expecting that to be September of 2026. So we're still a good 15, 16 months out yet before that standard is released. Okay, now I'll talk a little bit about ISO 45001. Okay, this is the Occupational Health and Safety Management standard. To give you a little bit of history, this was first published in 2018 because it replaced another document, OHSAS 18001, which dates back to 1999. So although the standard itself is only dates to 2018, the concept of occupational health and safety management system standards dates back many years. Working Group 6 commenced in August of 2024. This group is meeting once a month to develop what is called a seed document. So a seed document is something that predates the working draft. And the purpose of the seed document is to get closer to a committee draft before the team actually starts with the working draft. Okay. Both the seed document and the working draft, again, do not leave the working group. And right now we are transitioning into the working draft stage from the seed document. So really nothing has been shared even with the member bodies yet. Okay. We do expect a CD to be available to member bodies by August. So it is coming soon. And then the commenting period will be 8 weeks. This standard is also on the 36-month track, so when they kick off in August of 2024, we're expecting publication late summer of 2027. Okay, some of the things that we are hearing about in the member body groups is that, again, just like the other standards, we're changing wording to facilitate greater alignment with the harmonized structure. The working group is considering asking for a deviation from the harmonized structure for the definition of OHS risk versus just general risk. Risk is one of those definitions that I think there are something like 37 different definitions for risk among all the management system standards. It's very difficult to harmonize those definitions between the different factions. And so 45001 is asking for a more specific OH&S risk. We're also looking to eliminate the term outsource and contractors as a separate set of requirements and bring them all under the same set of requirements. What is generating a lot of discussion here is the scope of how to apply 45001. There is a group of people that say, we want this to be 45001 certified. You are also concerned with the occupational health and safety of your supplier network. Okay. That would be a huge expansion of scope. And there is a strong opinion that this is going to be an overreach. It would be nearly impossible for small and medium enterprises, SMEs, to monitor that. So there's a lot of pushback on this. Stay tuned, more will come from this as the revision process matures. Some other changes that are expected, but again, because we haven't even seen a document yet in the technical committees, this is all speculative. Expansion of the definition of workplace to encompass remote and hybrid environments. We are writing a companion document, ISO 45008, as a guidance document to support this concept. But you can imagine ever since the pandemic, there has been an explosion of different types of workplace environments, whether it be work from home, working in someone else's home, many different types of remote type work. It's also looking to address risks associated with technological advancements such as artificial intelligence and robotics. The standard is looking to strengthen the assessment of a workplace culture and address something called well-being at work. In other words, not just the physical safety, but physical, mental, social, and cognitive needs of expectations of workers. These concepts are all going to be expanded upon in the companion documents that are listed here. These are some of the documents that Technical Committee 283 are also working on. Guidelines for organizations with respect to climate change and climate action. Now, I want to be clear on this. This is not a document on how to address or about addressing climate change. This is a document that would guide organizations on how to adjust to climate change with respect to occupational health and safety. In other words, as climates become warmer, how do we deal with that with our workforce? And things like that. ISO 45008, again, this is for remote working. What is a remote worker? What constitutes remote work? Is it just work from home, or could it be field work? That's being discussed in Working Group 8. 45009 talks about governance and leadership. But there's considerable discussion on this standard. Why would this only focus on OHS management systems and not all management systems? So until that question is answered, this working group is on hold. We may need to form a joint working group with other technical committees to address this. And then 45010 is a guidance document on menstruation, menstrual health, and menopause, how organizations can address a guidance on how an organization can address the needs of this specific demographic. It says the CD should be released for balloting and commenting soon. Well, I just got the CD last night, so very timely on that. Soon means actually now. So I'll be looking through that document here over the next few weeks. And then finally, the last slide on this, there is a technical group 7 is exploring the possibility of developing, if you will, a 45001 light. So how small and medium enterprises, small and medium-sized enterprises can implement an effective 45001 program with the resource challenges that they might have. The challenge, of course, is making sure that we align with the requirements in the harmonized structure and Annex SL. So this task group is working on trying to answer those questions. Okay. With that, I will turn it over to my colleague, Dan Reed, who will talk about 14001 revisions.
Hey, Bill, thank you very much. And folks, if you have any questions, please please add them to the list, and we'll get to that in the very end of this presentation. There you go, Dan.
All right, thank you. Everybody see the screen okay?
Yes.
Okay, 14,001. This is a little different type of work than we've seen with 9,001 and 45,001. This work is being done as an amendment. It's a new category of documents that ISO has recently introduced. Gives them the flexibility to add or revise requirements without obsoleting the current revision. So this is being done outside of that. This will not obsolete the current version. Main changes for the amendment is going to be to incorporate the required Annex SL content, which that is where the harmonized structure is derived. There's a directive from the ISO directives that that's the annex number. It's all the way up to SL, and that requires all standards written for management system standards going forward to use the same 10 clause names, same 10 clause numbers, and some content in terms of text under each clause that's common across all management system standards. So it makes it very easy to integrate management system standards if you've got requirements from multiple customers for different requirements. It's also a clarification of some of the key topics, mainly risk and change management. Of course, change management is a very critical process in the high-level structures, mentioned a number of times explicitly and a couple more times implicitly. With all the issues with the Central Secretariat and the pushback on some of the deviations that were granted in 2015, they're not wanting to carry those forward. There's been some hiccups in terms of approvals of previous ballots. So there's been some extension of a standards timeline from, in some cases, 24 months to now 36 months. The draft amendment for the DIS version of the draft amendment for 14,001 was approved at the end of April, pretty overwhelmingly, 92%. And that's headed for FDIS, final draft international balloting, fourth quarter into January. They're planning to release that document March of 2026, assuming the remaining ballots pass first time through. So an amendment versus a revision, amendments are not going to republish the standard. Basically, it doesn't obsolete the standard. So all they're going to give you is kind of an errata sheet, like retail book publishers have used these for years to make changes to the publication without reprinting the books. Just stick a sheet in there, and this is going to say what's changed or what's been moved. Here's an example from 10.1, and they say, well, delete the content from 10.1. It's 10.3 is moved now, so they tell you what to shift around. A3 second paragraph, etc. They tell you what the differences are. A lot of times it's just shifting text from one clause to another. They're not allowing, also one of the deviations that were granted in 2015, they allowed the standards writers to insert their sector-specific or discipline-specific text inside the common text that was required by Annex SL. They could insert paragraphs, so insert sentences. Now they're wanting to keep the high-level structure mandated text together and put any adds from the sectors or from the discipline-specific TCs. They want those adds to go at the end of the common text for that clause, which kind of messes with the flow of the stating of the requirements. It's been some concern with some of the TCs. Changes for 14,001, Law Street, they have changed the definition of risk to potential adverse effects. I very much appreciate that. I think the high-level structure definition, effects of uncertainty, is pretty weak. There's a lot of ISO documents that talk about risk. Many different definitions of risk still in ISO documents across the board. So really, it's a fairly immature concept still. There hasn't been an agreement, high-level agreement, what risk is even defined as across ISO documents. So I think we'll see that start to coalesce in future revisions. And this is a good step in the right direction, potential adverse effects. Context, issues, internal and external, can affect the strategic direction, purpose of the company. They've added examples of environmental conditions. There could be added to the context issues that companies have to deal with in their business environment. Interested party needs and expectations. They added a note on climate change, indicating that climate change could be an interested party need. You need to check. Risk, moved most of that clause into a new subclause, 614, for risk and opportunities, very similar to what the other management system standards are doing with their change to stay aligned with the Annex SL harmonized structure. They have consolidated a new clause, 6.3, for planning and managing change. ISO 9001 has several mentions of change management. In 14,001 TC 207, they prefer not to have multiple clauses on change management. So they integrate all the change management requirements into this one new clause, managing and planning and managing change. And so that's probably a good thing. Documented information, now subclause under 744 under communication. Further management review outputs are now called results. They consolidated the improvement, the continual improvement into one subclause. strengthened a little bit to more enhance environmental performance. And the annex, 14,001 has had an annex for guidance, informative type of annex for a number of revisions. They've added a lot more examples to amplify and illustrate what they're talking about with the requirements in the standard. More guidance in several areas, environmental conditions and how they impact the EMS. And I mentioned there's a new section in the annex to amplify the new requirements section 614 up in the standard. So they talk more about a risk-based approach for the EMS, examples for temporary versus permanent versus unintended changes and the sources of change. So bring a lot of good guidance into the change management understanding. 19011, this is a guideline for management system audits of all types, all sorts. It's a guideline. It's written in the form of shoulds. It's not certifiable. It's not a management system standard like 45,001 and 14,001 and 9,001. So it does not use, and it's not mandated to use the harmonized 10-clause structure like the others. It's still on a 24-month track. The draft international standard was approved earlier this year. The final draft is planned for September, and they're talking about release in January 26. We would probably offer a transition course in these at Omnex. So length of those courses to be determined, but go through and explain the changes in any industry developments that may have occurred since the release in 2015 of some of these documents.
Hey, Dan.
Some of the changes, yes.
Sorry, Dan. So, Dan, 19011 is built into every one of our auditor courses, okay?
Yes.
Right? You teach them. And so what will happen is these changes will get incorporated into our auditor courses. And somebody asked this question, so let me ask you the question rather than me answer it. Since it's a guideline, is it mandatory I follow this?
No, it's a guideline. It's a guideline. It's informative. It's not normative. It's all the management system standards, even the certifiable standards, type 1, with, written in the form of shalls. Those are voluntary standards. ISO doesn't levy requirements on anybody to use their standards. They're generic management system standards, which means they have to be applicable to all sizes and types of companies. Therefore, they have to be pretty high level, can't be too specific to any one industry. They put those standards on the shelf, and then customers will come along if they want to and require their suppliers, for example, or elect to use those standards internally as specified requirements. So it's customers that establish requirements. Yes.
I'll say this. This is good practice. This is the way audits should be done. You know, when you get audited as a registrar's auditor in a witness audit, a lot of time 19011 is taken as a shall to say that if you didn't do something well. So a lot of times when we audit, because we teach it to your classes and we expect all or most of you to be trained in auditing, we would like to see that this structure of opening meeting, gathering objective evidence, closing meeting, how you write non-conformances all follow this. Dan, what do you say to my answer on that?
Well, yeah, it's a best practice. It's an international committee. It's got together quality experts and agreed on the best practices for auditing. So yeah, it's a good idea to do that. Very effective.
Thank you, Dan.
Stood the test of time for sure.
Yeah.
Anything else?
No, continue on,
Okay.
sir.
Okay. 19011 change summary. There's a new definition for remote auditing. I kind of expected a bigger change in this version of 19011 since the pandemic, when we were all kind of forced into doing a lot more remote work than before, but hasn't made a major shift in terms of that's amplification of some of the things we learned. Two items were added to information needed for the audit program. The audit program is auditing over time. How many audits are we going to do this year? What kind of audits? Management system level audits, process audits, product audits. What months or what quarters are we going to do those in? What auditors are going to be involved? What audit scope for each of those? That all is spelled out in the audit program document. And that They've added 2 criteria for that, criteria for participation of observers and others as relevant, and the organization's internal and external context, reference back to 4.1 clause in the standard and high-level structure. A third note was added to Figure 1 on process flow for the audit program, really just to say that the audit follow-up may not always be applicable. If it's a potential supplier assessment, you're doing to see if a company could meet your requirements, and you don't have any business with them currently, you wouldn't necessarily have to go back and do any follow-up. You could just scratch them off the approved supplier candidates. One example of opportunities for improving that program is deleted, aligning audit dates with availability of the key staff. I'm pretty sure that would be because that's more than an opportunity for improvement. That's really a necessity to get lined up in your audit plan with the availability of people you want to talk to as an auditor, so that it's an efficient and effective audit when you get on site. Additional guidance for joint audits, particular attention given to coordination of different audit teams. That's what a joint audit is, one auditee with 2 auditing bodies. So maybe a certification body for 14,000 and a different certification body for 9,001, conducting a joint audit in the same client in the same week. And that's really not done too much. I haven't seen much of that needed. Most certification bodies now have auditors trained in multiple standards, eliminates the need for that. One item was added to auditor competency, the ability to achieve the intended results of the audit regarding the method. So remote auditing versus on-site. The audit client, the person that's asking the auditor to go out and do the audit, defines the audit objectives. And they have to know that up front. And the audit objectives are the intended results, really what to be achieved. What kind of an audit is it? How long do you have to perform it? These kinds of things. Annex A2, been rewritten, includes guidance on the process approach. It's an interesting thing for me, the terms and definitions, ISO 9000 that Bill was talking about, 2 terms that are used in the standard, they're not defined: strategic direction of the company and process approach. No definition for process approach. Key concept, they talk about it quite extensively in section 0. It's described, the process approach is described in detail, but there's no definition for that. And so they provide some additional guidance in Annex 2 for this. Annex A12, new section greatly expanded on supply chain, auditing second party audits, references supply chain audit program documents, similar to what we talked about, laying out your plan for the year. How many supplier audits, when are you going to do them, who's going to be involved, what's the scope of each audit. You don't have to do a full quality management system audit every time. If you're doing multiple audits a year, you can chunk down your quality management system process, or management system processes for that matter, into 5 or 10 a month, or 10 or 15 a quarter, and rotate them based on status and importance of the activity, risk of the process, past audit findings, and things like this. Scope of the audit can differ. It could be a management system level scope, product scope, or process scope. So they point that out. Second party audits can be outsourced. We do a lot of that at Omnex. We do a lot of audits for companies of their suppliers, and we also do subcontracted internal audits. So that's an option if you need additional resources. Also, reasons to conduct a supply chain audit were listed. Supply chain risks or poor quality along the supply chain. And they pointed out that auditing a supply chain, multiple companies, involves multiple audits at multiple locations. So this is a kind of an enhanced feature that they're describing. These can be planned audits as part of your audit program document, or they can be added as a special cause audit if something occurs in between planned audits. You can schedule an additional audit, maybe do a supplier disruption at one of your plants, send in some bad material, something. You could do a special cause audit in between the planned audits in the program document. A15, change the title from virtual audit to conducting audit remotely. A lot of confusion on those terms. Remote audit is same as a regular audit on site, except you're using information and communication technology, Zoom or Microsoft Teams, etc. Virtual really means you're not auditing a real physical location. You're auditing a virtual location, such as a website. And so a lot of people misunderstand it. They call remote auditing virtual auditing, but it's not the same. So they did add some clarification for that in ISO 19011. So with that, we'll take your questions at the end. I'm going to turn it back over to Chad Keimel, and he'll go through some recommendations for how to plan for and address these upcoming changes.
So I'm going to keep this part of the presentation short. Hang on 1 second here. It's not what I wanted to show. That's not very good. It just jumped right to the very beginning. Bear with me, folks. So we have a lot of questions, team. So what I'll do is just abbreviate this part of this so we can go right to the questions, okay? So many of you probably will have questions on integrated management systems. I'm already seeing that in the questions. And we already mentioned to you the ISO bodies we understand that you're seeing all these standards separately, and that's why they came up with a harmonized structure that mandates certain definitions are common, certain parts of the clause numbers are all common between the standards. The reason is they want you to implement all these shalls and all these different standards into your company's business processes, okay? All right, I'm hoping to answer a lot of questions I saw. The idea of your company's business process is in your process map and how you operate. When we say, and I have been writing, presenting, and implementing integrated management systems since 2006. So I define integrated management systems. You can look at our free webinars. You can buy my book, which I will update again with the standard updates, as integrated processes, meaning if you have a new product development process, you don't have a different new product development process for environmental systems. You don't have a different new product development process for health and safety. You have a new product development process that has to satisfy all the shells. I hope that answered it. You have to make sure you do risk, and you should do it with the same process, with the same risk scores, so that you can compare risks across the business. And then, of course, if you do all that, you can do integrated audits. We at Omnex actually offer courses for this. We do gap analysis for it. We do implementations for it. So here is an enterprise, meaning many different companies, design centers, plants, warehouses. Each one of they have standalone systems. So sometimes companies integrate environmental EHS, okay? But they forget everything else. So if you look at my most recent webinar, you'll see I've said integrate. I used to say 9001, 14,000, 45,001. Now I've added IT security. Every one of your organizations need to have IT security, and please do not implement it as though it's an IT standard. That's what we did with quality. We thought 9001 was a quality standard. If you do that, you're just going right off the bat in the wrong direction. Integrate that back into your management system. That's the lesson of this. And let me just go right here. The idea is, now this is a theoretical system on the right-hand side. How much you can do it, what do you think it depends on? Okay, it depends on the business, but it really depends on your top management saying with the iron fist, you need to integrate. Okay, all right. So when you try to go to integrated management system, the question is, why integrate? And my answer is, look, integrate because you'll save money. So let me share with you, these are the 4 platforms. And one of the things we'll advise as you move forward is you need to implement software with AI. So let me share with you, this is the enterprise quality suite, right? With the idea that the platform's idea is you can go anywhere you want, it's visual, and you click and go where you want. Look at the savings, folks. Now, the savings are there when standards change. So that is why we're telling you, implement your integrated management systems now when the standards are saving, because there's lots of savings to be had. So the second platform you can think about is new product development. Both of them bring in lots of AI and lots of savings. 3.9 million, 11.9 million. All right. So, Mr. Miller, if you're on the ball, sir, it's a poll 2. Thank you. Folks, we'd like to know a little bit about your thoughts on integrated management systems and enterprise software. And hoping we can have enough time to answer. So, team, we'll skip the discussion part of it. We will cover the slide, John. We need your input on the IAF. All right, let's close the poll. Okay. Implementation members, auditors, okay. They have an integrated management system, but less than half of you have it. That's good to know. Folks, I have a little checklist on to really score whether you're integrated or not, okay? Question is, are you integrated in the Apex document, which is not that important? Are you integrated in the processes? That's level 2. Are you integrated in the work instructions? Are you integrated in the forms and checklists? I had a lot of time to think about it because when you write a book on it, you really challenge yourself. Is this the right time to, if no, is this the right time? Yep, I think 66% of you say it's the right time. If you said no, I would really like to know why. You can put it in. Why you think it's a bad idea to implement an integrated management system. Do you already have? So over 70% of you have not implemented software. So a lot of opportunity, folks, in terms of saving money for your company. So many of you asked the question, hey, Bill, I did see a question on when DIS is coming out for 9001. So folks, take a print screen of this. You can also get this presentation from us right to Omnex. If you like this webinar, you can also get the recording. Mr. Kovacic?
Yes, sir.
Do you have the DIS date for 9001 or tentative date?
For 9001, the DIS should be available no later than September of this year. As I mentioned earlier, because we don't have to translate it into English, we might see it as early as July, but it will be available for worldwide distribution by September.
So, we'll do another webinar maybe first quarter next year, and we can share a lot more, okay? All right. So this is a little bit on the IAF transition requirements. John, would you be, as our, member of a registrar, maybe you can tell us what IAF is and how transition periods are decided and so on.
Sure, glad to, Chad. Yeah, the IAF is the International Accreditation Forum. It's a membership body of accreditation bodies around the world. They are the ones, not ISO, who determine what a transition period should be for updating management systems certifications whenever the ISO standards change. The certification bodies are subject to the rules of the IAF, and they must upgrade their client certificates to reflect the new standards within the time frame that the IAF determines. Typically, those transition periods are 3 years, but they can be a little bit longer and they can be a little bit shorter.
Okay. Thank you very much, John. I saw some questions on ESG. If you can look through the questions, you can be ready. Folks, we are going to talk to you about sector standards, and we're going to be talking to you about also functional safety ACE by SOTF. We call them e-mobility standards. And Mike Miller, can you please run the poll, sir? And implementing net zero. So I can tell you right now, every one of the companies who are in this webinar are implementing net zero standards. And John and I are part of the ISO 14068 writing committees. And John is very intimately involved actually in net zero carbon. And the registrar, Omnex Future Past, will be auditing to ISO 14068. And I mentioned to you, we do greenhouse gas verification, and we'll be also doing net zero carbon verification. I like to say certificates, as that's what you think about. But of course, John would say verifications. All right. All right. So we will take the results of the poll. Mike, 39%. Okay, 22%. Wow. John, interesting to know the net zero carbon. It's in CD1, but actually John has seen it. I have not seen it. It hasn't come out yet for wide circulation. And we should do a webinar because people are very interested in it. And sector specifics. Okay. Inviting others. Yep. So we will let you know on what's going on. We are planning to do 2 more webinars on these. Okay. So let's just finish up the presentation so we can go to. So here is some upcoming webinars. If you do requirements management, especially ASPICE, functional safety, aerospace, and medical device, ISO 62304, all have to do requirements management. Here's some virtual training from Omnex. You can see here. We do also on-site. Other training courses, many. We have 350. And this is something new. This is what John will be doing. And without further ado, I did not think we would be taking as much time as we have. And I thought that we'd have 15 minutes for this. So we're going to go from now to 15 minutes. All right. Any idea when the new revision may be released? David, I think we already shared that with you. So I'm going to go on. What new world expectation? So this is the new ideas. Forget what we call it, Bill. What is the what's something new like AI or automotive advancements or something like that? We have a customer asking us about what in 9001, if something like that is in 9001.
It won't be in 9001 specifically as a requirement to address something like that. But the point of some of these emerging trends that you see listed in that boxed-in table of contents I showed you is to start thinking about that, because it's usually something comes up first as an emerging trend and then could be incorporated as requirements later. So the purpose of those are to just get to people to start thinking about them and be prepared in case those do develop into being addressed in 9001 in the future edition.
I'll say this. Bill and I helped write a standard called ISO 10013 on recommendations how documentation should be written. And in that, we did consider these kind of automated workflows, is what we called it. So you can find things like that there. But when you come to 9001, it's almost, because it's a shall or recommended. You will see a lot of people don't want to do that. Interest of time. Where can I find the harmonized structure? Dan or Bill? I think it's a free download, right? Is it what, Annex SL?
Annex SL is in the ISO directives. I think it's available. I'm not 100% sure if it's free or not.
Okay. So Annex SL is what you would be Googling for, Walter. And if somebody knows, sometimes I know John knows just about everything. John, you can jump in if you'd like.
Yeah, the directives are available for free. Just Google ISO directives and you'll get the download link.
And John, this is a question for you. Any standard for ESG to be released in the coming year? I think that'll.
Yeah, well, the IWA International Workshop Agreement 48 is an ESG document. It's a publicly available specification, and you can download it for free from the ISO website. But you do have to license it to yourself, even though it's free.
So you can download IWA 42, which is Net Zero Guidelines, which that's a free document. And you can buy ISO 14060, which is carbon neutrality. That when did we write that? A year ago or 2 years ago? A year ago, I think, right?
Well, you said 14,060, but it's 68 is the one that's published. 14,060 is under development.
Oh my gosh, I got the numbers switched. Thank you, John.
Mm-hmm.
Graham, I think we already mentioned the DIS and FDIS, maybe not the FDIS. So, Bill, you did say the FDIS timeline was September. How about the FDIS?
Yeah, so to clarify, the DIS will be available in September, the final DIS in April of 2026, with commenting and balloting period then. And then eventually the standard is expected to be released in September of 26.
Okay. So I'll answer this next one. What is the difference between QMS and business structure? I don't know if Demi, if I did fully explain this, but I'll do it briefly, of the idea of that the process map in 4.4 of ISO 9001 is really the sequence and interaction. That's your process for the business, okay? So you're really actually documenting your business management system. Think of it like that and integrate all the other shells from all the other business requirements you have into one integrated management system or one BMS. So I think I sort of explained. For both of these, please come to our I forget what it's called, a training center or something like that. We have free webinars, and of course, we also have classes on both. Okay, all right. Let's please remind me. I answered this about 1911, Tammy, just for you when I talked to Dan. Just to tell you, good practice is 1911. Usually, when I see bad audits, bad auditing practices, no audit plans, where I also don't see a process approach used, or when I see the non-conformances are written well, it's all coming from 1911, and it's the way we teach you in our auditing courses how to do audits is what we expect to see also that you practice, okay? I do not like, I may not go on, I'll give you take too much time. Will there be a transition periods for companies to recertify? This is what John Scheidler was saying, typically 3 years, okay? Will there be an AS 9100 Rev V? So aerospace, medical devices, and for automotive, we'll be doing, I think we have a date. I shared the date with you. We'll be doing a sector specific. Yes, there is a release coming. It's called IA 9100. We already have copies of it. It'll be coming out soon, okay? I will tell you more when we do the sector-specific webinar. Are we reaching the end here? We'll see here. Okay, there's more. Okay, but sanction interpretations, in the interest of time, I'll just answer it and I'll give it to my panel members also. But the sanction interpretations is more of a IATF 16949 question, Jessica. So yes, they will be trying to do as much as they can to take the interpretations into the standard. We'll tell you more about that in the sector-specific webinar. This is one for Bill. Hybrid or remote workplace may also have crossover between locations within a company. It causes some confusion as to what to do, what should be included in the scope of the audit. Can you clarify, please?
Well, I think that will be clarified when 45,008 comes out and the Technical Committee 283 will settle in on what is a remote worker and what constitutes a remote workplace. As far as what should be included in the scope of the audit, I would probably defer to what 19,011 says on that. But I do know that there are 4 classifications of a remote place right now. One is working from home. Another is working in someone else's home, like if you're a healthcare worker. A third is if you're working at a client's site. And the fourth would be if you're working out in the field, such as a utility line man or something like that. So those are the 4 different types of remote work possibilities. As far as what is included in the scope of the audit, again, I probably would refer to 19,011 for that.
Thank you very much, Bill. Continuing on, answering Eastwaran and Ronnie, is it possible to integrate 9,001, 14,001, 45,001? Absolutely. And please listen to a free webinar, except I'll be talking also about 27,001 IT security and social responsibility, which is what I think today is best practice, or sustainability, I should have said, instead of social responsibility. And there are training classes also. Everybody does this all the time, Ishwar. Ronnie, when 9001 changes, every management system standard changes. The only one that may stay to opt out is medical device. The medical device standard, correct me if I'm wrong, Dan, has not changed since which version? They didn't adopt the 2016 or 2015 version of ISO.
I believe they're 2013, I believe.
Okay.
They got deviation from Central Secretariats. They did not have to use the 10 clause harmonized structure.
Right. So everybody else will change. Our sector specific representative, Frankie Breedlaw, will tell you about medical devices. Okay. Amendments effective release date. Which period will it be? It will be verified during audit. I think they mean ISO 14,001, Dan. What is the release date of 14,001?
That is March of 26.
Okay, so March of 26, it will be released, and there'll be a transition period. And I'll just ask a question to Bill Kovacic. Something. Yeah, please.
Chad,
Dan.
that 14,001, since that's an amendment, is not revising the addition. That's probably going to be more like a 6-month transition.
Okay, so it might be a shorter transition. Thank you, Dan. It's a question I wanted to ask Bill. Bill, if you had a 3-year transition period, with your experience, would you say go early or go late, and why?
My recommendation would be to go as early as you can, because human nature likes to procrastinate. And what happened when we transitioned from 2008 to 2015, a lot of organizations waited until the last 6 months to get their transition audit. And at that point, registrars are resource challenged to get auditors out there to do those audits in time.
And some companies became late, right? They actually had to almost forfeit their certification, which means you'll have to get a re-audit.
Right. Yeah, you can risk your certification if you don't transition in time. So my advice would be to target earlier in the transition period as opposed to later, to make sure you have that your registrar has the resources to do that.
Okay, I'll continue on. Will AI be incorporated into ISO? IA 9100 is thinking about that. Okay, where else am I seeing it? A lot of it is there in AS 9115. So aerospace definitely is going to do it. I'm sure all the sector specifics will be thinking about that. Okay. All right. And most of the change, okay, so okay, all right. So we'll just say this: you're not seeing a major revision of standards, so but you still will have to update and put things in place. About 55,000, someone already in a rent, in example 55001. Hang on one second. So, okay. Sorry about that. I'm in such a hurry trying to do this so we can answer all your questions. I see. Notes added. I think it's about ISO 9000, carbon footprint. Some definitions include, some of these are already incorporated in rent standards. I don't know what that meant.
Current.
Example 55001. John?
No, I think the questioner meant current.
Oh,
Current
I see.
standards.
I see. Okay. So I think you can send it, Stephen, to omnex@info.com, or, you know, however whoever you got the email from for the webinar probably can get back to you. I don't know if somebody who's listening, Mike Miller, if you can help me here. Which email should they request webinar materials? Okay. Sunil,
They
I
can
think
just
it's a
send it to
comment.
webinars@omnex.com.
Thank you. Webinars@omnex.com. Clear alignment in line with harm as an approach for all standards. Yes, absolutely. Sunil, it's required. And you will see standards trying to get out of it, and they'll be turned down. But if I open that up, it's a big discussion everywhere. How does Sanken interpretations fall within these updates? Definitely for automotive. Hold on to that thought for sector specific. Typically, non-conformance statements are written very generically. It's possibly to add to a finding statement the details. Okay. All right. Yes. If you write it like that, either Bill, myself, or Dan will give it a non-conformance. All right. We expect to see, we have a certain way we want to see the statement of nonconformity written. We need to see objective evidence. The objective evidence should have the samples that you checked, and then we're looking for a statement of nonconformity. I mean, the standard. Okay, that's the way to write it. Is there any enhancements to monitor and control the certification bodies? It's a very open-ended, a very important question, John, but I'll open up a can of worms there. Okay, I'll just skip that because we don't have the time and not quite the scope of today. Maybe 1911. Okay, I know Dan, each of us has our opinion on that, but really the accreditation bodies need to step up. Okay, the sector specifics are definitely trying. When do we expect final release copy of 9001 so we can start implementing? Bill, I think you already gave a date. Can you give that date again?
Sure. September of 2026 is the expected published date.
Okay. Okay. I don't have all the specifics on IATF. I could have, but I did not prepare for it. Sorry about that, Kimberly. Any specific clauses on automation, AI, data sciences, data analytics proposed in 9001? I would say probably no. Am I right, Dan and Bill? How about data science or data analytics? But definitely not AI or automation. Am I right?
I wouldn't think, no.
Yeah, I'm not aware of anything specifically related to those issues.
We have a question on CBAM. We do have a training on CBAM. Please do contact us. What about 50,001? Yes, we train and we audit. We have a class running in July, Ganesh. All right. The AS9100 Revi, if I'm not mistaken, is being balloted. I'm the one who should tell you the date. I don't know if Dan, if you know what the date is, but I do not know the date right now as I speak. Okay. All right. With that, folks, I hope this was a good webinar for everyone. Bill, thank you very much. Dan, great job, guys. and Mr. John Scheidler. Wonderful. So thank you very much for our speakers and for all of you for joining us today. Join us again for the sector-specific update. The sectors, as you know, will have to use 9001 if it's a management system standard and 19011 for auditing. Okay, so this is a good first step for you to understand the sector-specific standards. And then after that, we will also talk to you about functional safety, cybersecurity, SOTIF, and standards, what's going on there. And then we'll do one on net zero as soon as we get, and we'll do it in a CD level because there's only so much we can share. So with that, thank you all very much. Bye-bye now.